What about it, YouTube? All right. Related to what I kind of got caught up in recently, this trap that is any group or movement that involves agitation, a bad spirit, a mean spirit, confrontationalism. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be anybody. You could be Antifa, you could be GDL, you could be Hebrew nationalist blacks, you could be any number, you could be radical feminists, you could be any number of people. You got it wrong. You're only copying the behaviors of the worst out there. So you're making a big mistake. And you're making a big mistake by not only LARPing, but just that you haven't seen past the trap that is responding to your emotions. If you want to be a man, if you want to be a leader, if you want to have effect, if you want to get people to respect you and to have any kind of authority, you cannot operate on emotions. You have to be stable. You have to be a rock. That emotions are fickle, and so men especially should not be caught up in motivation by anger, etc., etc., etc. So as we look at these groups and we look at this victim identity stuff, then we see that there's a lot going on. There's their own disordered lives that they don't know how to deal with. They don't want to take responsibility for it, so they're trying to scapegoat it. They're trying to put their sins on the altar and burn it, and that would be you, the one who's innocent, right? That's how sacrifice works. You take something innocent, you put your sins on it, you burn it, and you offer it up as a sacrifice to your sins, and then supposedly that absolves you from whatever you were up to. So these people are trying to do that. These people who, whatever's wrong in their life, I don't know what all their complaints might be. It might be, feminist. It might be racial. It might be, what would you call it? Class with communism versus capitalism. It might be all kinds of things that have you unhinged. You might just be bored and immature and not realize it, but somehow or other something's got in your head where you feel like you've got to make a change by going out there and showing your butt to the world instead of trying to have manners and be involved in a polite society. You've decided that the way to do it is to agitate or burn down or break windows or whatever, beat people up or kill them or whatever it is that's supposed to make you feel better. So now you're out there showing your butt. Or maybe it's renting a van and painting it up with stupid crap that's going to agitate people. There's a lot of ways and a lot of examples of people. Or it could be somebody from the tribe who paints a shit swastika on their own door and then says oy vey and tries to get some agitation going, some histrionic weird shit, But in any of these cases, it's somebody who's disordered in themselves. If they were at peace with themselves, if they had a relationship with Jesus, then they wouldn't be acting in this way, right? There would be no reason for it. They're stable. And again, if they're mature and if they're trying to be masculine, then they're not about their emotions. They're about just being rational and being even keeled. So the thing about these people is that there's no appeasing them. There's not enough reparations. There's not enough bending over backwards for them. There's not enough that you can do to get them to shut up. It's their own disordered problem that's at the heart of this. And so there's no appeasing them. There's no discourse. There's no conversation. They're going to continue to flop around throwing their tantrum until everything is dead around them, after they've destroyed everything around them. And then they still won't be happy, but at least there won't be anybody else to complain to, right? So that's the thing, is part of the communist promise or ideology, thinking is that there shouldn't be different levels of things. There shouldn't be such a thing as merit. Everything should be outcome based. There should be equal outcomes. So this is what I'm trying to tie in with not only what's happening in so many cases in society, and even in supposed capitalist society, you have so many examples of where there's glass ceilings or there's crabs in a bucket dragging people down from achieving. It seems like in a lot of cases, even in our system today, if you try to work hard and get ahead, there's people who are jealous of you, or you're not part of the in crowd, you're not a brown nose or whatever, and you get knocked down. So it's not exactly perfect in the capitalist world, but these guys on this other unhinged communist side that we see sort of expressing itself largely with BLM and Antifa, and the left has adopted this whole idea. What we see is that this is this push for equal outcomes. So they're miserable, they want you to be miserable. That's on an individual level even, okay? As long as you're at least as miserable or more miserable than them, then they've won. They don't have any answers to anything. They don't have any solutions. It doesn't even matter if what they replace the old thing with is worse or better. It could be way worse, and as long as you're miserable, they won, and it's good. Not even taking into account that they're proxies of the people up ahead, right, who we won't get into too much detail about, but your usual suspects that are funding this, Soros and the rest of them, okay, we'll burn them out at the earliest chance. They have no concept of the larger things going on. All they know is that their life's disordered, and all they know is it has to be someone else's fault. Otherwise, they'd be crushed under the shame of taking on their responsibility of their actions. So that's what society's offered them. Also, society's told these people that the safe way is to be a victim. Yeah, from an early age, it's like the safe space is finding some kind of a victim identity. Become gay, become trans, become a feminist, become a Black Lives Matter, whatever you can run into, whatever little safe space you can run into, you better do it. Because if you don't run into one of these little spaces of victimhood identity, then obviously that only leaves one other choice, that you're the victimizer, and you're going to be the one who's attacked, right? So there's a thing going on with the youngsters that's getting them to adopt this thing that's a trap, the okey-doke, the bamboozled narrative, where they can't see through what's happening to them till it's too late, and now they're just running around, they're bored, they don't realize how good they have it, they're spoiled to death, no one's stopping them from being as disordered and mentally unstable as they want to be, but they can't handle that. There's no stability in that, and that's got to be your fault. Why did you allow them to become so disordered? In some respects, that's what's happening underneath in their minds. There's something whispering to them that something's effed up, and they don't want to go to the next step of it's me. They want to put it off on whatever else. So, not to rehash what I've already talked about, but more explanation, I'm hoping, for when you go to the end of these traps. First, the trap is to find yourself in a victim identity, become the GDL, or become Antifa, or become Proud Boys, or become somebody who decides that they're a victim in this world. That's the first step to falling in the trap. The second step is to act on that, and to go out there in the world with that spirit of agitation and vengeance. That's the second step to the trap. All this time is not recognizing that it's something inside of you. It's something inside of you that you've got to forgive somebody, you got to forgive yourself, you got to do some forgiving if you want to get past this stuff, because you're on a course of destruction. No matter what, you're on a course of destruction. All right, that's it for this one. God bless.